All right, folks, real talk. If you have debt right now, you are not alone, not even close. Total household debt in America as of the first quarter of 2026, $18.8 trillion. That is not a rounding error. That is $18.8 trillion of mortgages, credit cards, car loans, student loans, and personal loans sitting on the backs of everyday Americans. And here is the part that nobody tells you. Not all of that debt is bad. Some of that debt is building wealth for people right now while they sleep. And some of that debt is quietly draining people dry every single month without them even realizing it. The difference between those two types of debt is the most important financial concept you will ever learn. My name is Jack. This is Jack the Prophet. And in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to tell them apart. So you stop paying for the wrong kind and start using the right kind to actually get ahead. Let us get into it. Here is the single most important idea I want you to walk away with today. Debt is not your enemy. Now I know what your grandma said, never owe anybody anything. Pay cash for everything. Debt is a trap, and grandma meant well. She really did, but grandma also bought her house for $32,000 in 1974. And that same house is worth $420,000 today. You know how she bought that house? A mortgage, which is debt. The truth is, debt is a tool, just like a car is a tool. A car gets you to work and builds your life, but a car going 90 miles an hour into a wall destroys everything. Same vehicle, completely different outcome, depends entirely on how you use it. Good debt is borrowed money that works for you. It either grows in value, increases your income, or costs you less than the return you get back. Bad debt is borrowed money that works against you. It shrinks in value, drains your income, and costs you far more than you ever got from it. Most Americans have both types right now, but they treat them exactly the same way. That is the mistake, and that is what we are fixing today. Let us talk about good debt, and I mean really break it down. First example, a mortgage. Americans collectively owe $13.19 trillion in mortgage debt right now. That sounds terrifying until you look at what they got in return. The median home price in March 2020 was $280,700. The median home price as of early 2026 is $398,000. That is a gain of over $117,000 in 6 years. So yes, you borrowed money, but the thing you bought with that borrowed money went up by $117,000, and the bank is not getting any of that gain. That belongs to you. That is good debt. The asset appreciates, your loan amount stays the same or goes down. You come out ahead. Now, here is the bonus point most people miss. A mortgage rate, even at today, as elevated levels around 6 to 7%, is still one of the cheapest forms of borrowing available to regular Americans. And in most states, the interest is tax deductible, which makes it even cheaper than it looks on paper. Second example, a business loan. Let us say you borrow $30,000 to start a pressure washing business. Equipment, a truck wrap, some local ads. Year one, you bring in $120,000 in revenue. Your loan costs you maybe $3,000 a year in interest. You spent $3,000 to make $120,000. That is not a debt problem. That is a math win. This is exactly how wealthy people think about debt, not as something to be ashamed of or afraid of, as a lever, a tool to multiply what they already have. Third example, strategic student loans. Now, this one I want to handle carefully because student loan debt is a real problem for a lot of Americans right now. The average student loan balance is about $13,728 per each household in Q1 2026. But here is the thing. Not all degrees are created equal from a financial return standpoint. If you borrow $40,000 and come out earning $80,000 a year in nursing or engineering or a skilled trade, that borrowing made economic sense. If you borrow $100,000 and come out in a field paying $30,000 a year, the math does not work. And knowing that before you sign is everything. Good student loan debt increases your income by more than it cost you. That is the test, simple and non-negotiable. All right, now we flip the coin, bad debt. And there are three main villains here that are quietly wrecking Americans across the country right now. Villain number one, credit cards. Total credit card debt in America right now is $1.25 trillion. The average individual balance is $6,500 to $6,800, and the average credit card interest rate is over 20% annual. 20%. Let me put that in real numbers for you. You carry a $6,500 balance on a credit card at 20%. You make only the minimum payment every month. It takes you 17 years to pay it off, and you pay roughly $9,000 in interest alone. You borrowed $6,500. You paid back $15,500. That is not a financial product. That is a penalty for not understanding how it works. And it gets harder to look at when you see this stat. 42% of Americans believe they will have credit card debt for the rest of their lives. Not this decade, not until retirement for the rest of their lives. That is not a debt problem. That is a mindset problem that has been dressed up as a debt problem. And the credit card companies are perfectly happy to let that mindset stick around. Villain number 2, car loans on vehicles you cannot actually afford. Here's the cold, hard truth about cars. A new car loses approximately 20% of its value the moment you drive off the lot. The average car payment in America right now is over $700 a month. $700 a month towards something that is going down in value from the second you own it. Now look, most Americans need a car. That is not the debate. The debate is how much car do you actually need versus how much car the dealership convinced you that you need. Because there's a big difference between a reliable $18,000 used car with a manageable 5-year loan and a $55,000 SUV with a 7-year loan that keeps you broke until your youngest is in middle school. The car does not make you wealthy. The car payment makes the bank wealthy. Villain number 3, buy now, pay later. This one is newer, and it is sneaky because it does not look like debt. Services like Affirm, Klarna, and Afterpay let you split purchases into payments, and it feels harmless. 4 easy payments. No interest, they say. But here is what they do not put in the big font. Nearly 90% of buy now, pay later purchases are made with debit cards. These services are specifically targeted at younger Americans who think of installment plans as something different from credit cards. They are not different. Debt is debt. And when you miss a payment or the promotional period ends, those interest rates and fees can jump significantly fast. The buy now, pay later industry has exploded because it is extremely effective at getting people to buy things they would not buy if they had to pay for it all at once. Think about that for a second. If you would not buy it with cash today, you probably should not be buying it on installments tomorrow. All right, here's what I want you to do with everything I just told you before you take on any new debt from this day forward. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Question 1, does this go up in value or increase my earning power? House usually goes up in value. Good debt candidate, business investment can increase your earning power. Good debt candidate. New furniture on a store credit card, neither bad debt, new car, goes down in value immediately. Necessity debt at best. Keep it minimal. College degree depends entirely on the income it generates. Do the math, do not guess. Question 2, is the interest rate lower than what I could earn by investing? The stock market has historically returned around 10% per year on average over the long run. If your debt costs you less than 10%, there is an argument for investing the difference. If your debt costs you more than 10%, pay it off first every single time, because a credit card charging you 20% is guaranteed to cost you 20%. No investment in the world guarantees you 20% back. Paying off high interest debt is the single safest and highest guaranteed return available to any American right now. Question 3, can I realistically pay this back on my current income today without stress? Not your projected income, not your hoped for raise, not your side hustle that might take off, your actual income right now. Today, if the answer makes your stomach tighten up even a little, the debt load is too heavy and you know it. Honest answer to question 3 has saved more Americans from financial disaster than any other piece of advice I can give you. Here is the bottom line, folks. $18.8 trillion of household debt sitting on the shoulders of everyday Americans right now. Some of it is building wealth, mortgages on homes that grow in value every year, business loans funding operations that generate real income. Some of it is a quiet financial emergency hiding behind minimum payments and auto pay. Now, you know the difference. Good debt works for you while you sleep. Bad debt works against you whether you are awake or not. So start treating them differently. Pay your credit card in full every single month. Full balance every month, no exceptions. That one habit alone will save the average American tens of thousands of dollars over their lifetime. Do not buy more car than you need just because you qualify for more. And if you are going to borrow for anything, make sure the math works in your favor before you sign. I am Jack. This is Jack the Prophet. If this video changed how you think about debt, hit that like button, subscribe, and send this to one person in your life who is carrying the wrong kind. Because nobody taught you this in school. The banks definitely do not want you to know it. But Jack does. See you in the next one.